many people in the morning read the sacrifices, because the sacrifices are on some level personal, but on most cases, on a higher level, it's a how do I translate in English? They're for the tzibur, for the community. In other words, in Adar, the month of Adar, which comes before Pesach, becomes before the month of Nisan, we all give a half a shekel, according to the Torah, and that's how censuses are done. They count the coins that everyone gives, and then we know how many Jews there are. We never count Jews. That's a whole other topic. Why? And some of you may be privy to that, because it says in the Chumash that plagues come, not a good thing. So we count by the coins that they give, and the coins, everyone gives the same amount, whether you're rich or you're poor. And I'm going to tell you the truth. In 2 weeks' time, we start collecting the half shekel. It's called mechetzet shekel, half shekel, and it goes to the korbanot, for the communal sacrifices, because we're all equal in it. So there's this idea of reading the korbanot, reading the offerings in the morning before davening, because on a certain level, our prayers replace the offerings, as it says in the prophets. Okay? So, I'm looking for my Hebrew version. Oh, it's right underneath. This would be paragraph 6 in chapter 1. And it mentions that we only say them during the day. Okay? One should not recite the passages of the sacrifice except by day. Okay? And that's when the offerings were made. I mean, there's certain times, there's certain things that we do. Okay, so then the other idea is, paragraph 7, there's a certain prayer that one should say right when we finish reading these offerings, that they should be accepted. In other words, since we don't have the temple, we don't have the opportunity, as if you're reading them is as if you're offering them up, right? Which actually is a very high level of prayer. Paragraph 8 says one should recite along with the sacrifice passages the verse, exactly, where and how. I remember I was at a meeting. It was not really, I wouldn't call it an interfaith meeting, but it was, I think some of you guys were there. It was the Conference of Israelites, the Ephraimites, and they were interested in all praying together with the Jews and wondering why we couldn't have a prayer meeting together. And our prayers are a little bit different, because our prayers really are replacing the sacrifices, and certain sacrifices are only for Jews, and where the blood is spilt and how it's offered and everything like that, they can join us, but we can't really join them. Anyway, that was a difficult explanation. Oh, good. Okay. Thing to explain to them that we're a little bit more set in our practices and how we do things, and they're welcome to join us, but it's not like we can just... Prayer's prayer. We could pray anytime, anywhere. In fact, that's really the highest levels, to be prayer, to actually be involved in prayer all the time. But we can't relinquish what we constantly do and need to do as an obligation. And then paragraph 9 discusses some more of the we'll call preliminary prayers that have to do with the incense offering and the different offerings. And now we'll go to chapter 2, which is a little bit more nogea, a little bit more applicable to you guys. So I have here, we're going to get to that soon. Right now we're here. The laws of dressing. How to get dressed in the morning. So we're not going to do so much. I think we'll do the first 3. I guess we'll do the first 4, 5. I think we'll do all 6, because they're really, okay, let's try. Let's see how much time we can put into this. Okay. So that would be, in Hebrew, right? It's looks like this. 2 pages like this is the first page. But the English, I gave you guys a link, so it looks like that. Did I give you a copy? Yeah, okay. Din levishas begadim, the way that we dress ourselves with clothes. There's 6 chapters, or 6 paragraphs. Lo yilbash chaluko miyushav. This is going to sound very, very strange, okay? But the concept we have to get down. The concept is to be very modest. One should not get dressed while sitting, even in their bed, but rather, Ella yikach chaluko, rather he should take his clothing while he's still in bed, v'yachnis bo rosho zrotav odenu shochem, while he's still lying underneath his covers. I mean, today, if we dress in pajamas, it's not a big deal, but if one goes to sleep completely naked, or partially naked, then it's not appropriate to walk around the house even naked. So get dressed while you're underneath your covers. So it comes out that when you get up, you're already dressed. You're not walking. The main thing is not to walk around the house naked. It's pretty much what it says in the English. Okay. It basically mentions in the commentary in the Mishnah Berurah that you don't want to, if you're sitting down when you're trying to get dressed, if you're completely naked, then it comes out that you're revealing your body, your naked body, and a person needs to behave in a modest fashion and with a certain sense of busha. Busha means a certain sense of not just shame, but like a little bit of embarrassment, a little bit of shame, healthy shame in front of God. Even when you walk, even when it's nighttime, in the most inner, room inside of another room, in the innermost sanctum, you shouldn't walk around naked, even at night. Why? Hello, melo kol haaretz kavodo. Is it not that Hashem, He fills the entire universe, and when it's dark and when it's light, it doesn't matter. And there's no light or dark to God, right? It's you can see through walls, Anyway, you know what I mean, right? And one should constantly be careful about this. And he mentions here, interestingly enough, the laws. It's not just women, also men. From the elbow and up should always be covered. I'm talking about especially when you're outside, but even in the house. He also discusses the idea of people wearing shorts or knickers. They're like the pants that come down to below the knee. That he says, because today people wear socks. It's not as we're a little bit more lenient about wearing these clothes because people wear socks. But otherwise, especially women should not walk around with their legs showing. And he also mentions about bare feet. We'll talk about that shortly. People shouldn't walk barefooted either. Okay, where are we at? Okay, we'll go to number 2. Al Yomar, people should not say, Hinene b'chadrei chadarim mi ro'eni. I'm in the innermost sanctums, who's going to see me? Ki kadosh baruch hu malo kol haaretz kavodo. Because Hashem, He sees you. Yidaktek, this is 3. Yidaktek b'chaluko libosh kedarko. Make sure you wear your shirt in the right direction. What does that mean? It could mean inside out. Don't wear it inside out. It could also mean backwards. But here I think it means inside out. Shelo yahafoch hapnimi l'chutz. So it might mean both. What does he say? He said one should be careful not to put even your undershirt, even the shirt that people don't see, inside out or backwards. Okay, this is going to be also very strange. You ready for strange? We already know that right side is mercy, the left side is din, is judgment. When we get dressed, we put our right hand in put it on your head first, and then your right hand in, and then your left hand. That's how you get dressed. What about your shoes? You put on your right shoe first. Yino minal yamin tachila. You put on your right shoe first, but don't tie it. Now, I'm not so sure if this is applicable to women, but because it's going to relate to putting on tefillin. Okay? So now you know how to teach your husbands how to dress. Don't tie it. So you put the right shoe on first because the right always comes first. And afterwards, you put on your left shoe, and then you tie it. And then tie your right shoe. And the reason is, let me just read them the Ramah. Our shoes that don't necessarily have ties, right? A lot of shoes today have no laces. So just go ahead and put on your right shoe first, and don't worry about it. Okay, so what's the idea here? I'm left-handed, so it's going to be a little bit backwards for everybody, because I put on my right shoe, then I put on my left shoe, then I tie my left shoe, and then I tie my right shoe. What's the idea? We already know that the right always comes first, but why don't I tie my right shoe first? I mean, according to them, right? The idea is that when I put on my tefillin, I use this hand, I actually put on my tefillin on my right arm, okay? But everyone else puts it on their left arm, okay? It's a whole reason for that. So they put on their left arm. And when what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is tying the tefillin. So they tie it with their right hand. So therefore, when they put on their shoe, they put on their right, then their left, then they tie their right. Right? But I tie my left because I'm left-handed, and I use my left hand to tie. So it's a little bit confusing, but we're constantly thinking, how do we serve Hashem? How do we come close to Hashem in every detail of our life? And we're just getting started here. We haven't even really begun. Where we're going to talk about which hand to use to wipe yourself with, when you get in the shower, what side of your body to shower with first. We're, you know. This is the Shulchan Aruch. This is the Shulchan Aruch. Not the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, it's the Shulchan Aruch. It's the book of law. And every detail about our lives is to bring us to God consciousness. Okay? That's what it's all about. And it's all in the details. You send an email and you forgot to put a dot in the right place, it's not going to arrive. Right, Chris? You're a businessman, or you write a nice letter, right, to your client or to prospective whatever, and if you don't put the dot in the right place, you spend a lot of time throwing that computer, and it's just not going to arrive. So all deeds matter, okay? The next halacha says, Asor lelech bekuma zekufa. You're not allowed to walk with your back stretched out like that, you know, like with haughtiness. You're not allowed to walk. Right? Okay, you have to have good posture is good, okay, but don't overdo it. I mean, I see some people walking around the streets. I'm like, whoa, he doesn't know the halacha here. And why should one, right? V'lo yelech arba amos begiloi harosh. Do not walk. An amma is a cubit. Don't walk 4 cubits without a head covering. So this does not apply to women. This is I should also tell you guys, most of what is in the Shulchan Aruch does not apply to women. But anyway, this specifically, a married woman should cover her hair, of course, but we're not there yet. We're not talking about that. So he says, this is very interesting what it says in the bottom. Even if your house has a roof, right? And how much more so if you're walking out into under the sky, the air of the heavens, one should be careful in all these things. And why Dalet Amos? Why the 4 cubits? It's actually, he says, it's like very pious, even less than that amount, not to walk with your head covering. And even if you want to get up in the middle of the night, so some say maybe there can be a little bit lenient, but there's an idea that if you need to say a bracha, you get up in the middle of the night and you want to make a bracha, you take your sleeve and you can use your sleeve to cover your head, right? But you can't use your hand. Your hand won't work. Your friend's hand will work.
But you can use the paper as well, right?
Yeah, you can use anything, a napkin. And what is this all about? So he brings down this idea. Let me just finish upstairs. He says, "Mipnei kavod hashchina." It's in honor of. It's because of the glory or the honoring of the divine presence. We call actually these things a yarmulke, and it comes from Yir Malka, fear of the king.
Ah.
Yarmulke is fear of the king. Just having awe, constant recognition there's somebody above you. Okay?
But is it a recent behave?
I don't think it's so recent. The Gemara talks about, it says there was a certain rabbi, a student who was in a class, and the rabbi, this is in the Gemara, okay, got very upset with him because he did not have his head covering. And it made a statement that all married men covered their hairs, their heads.
But if
That's in the Talmud. That's in the Talmud. Now, the question is, was that just talking about being pious? Was that beyond the letter of the law? So that could be a question. So the idea, did Moses walk around without a head covering? Did these people, I mean, our tradition, we have a tradition. So how far back does the tradition go? Mm-hmm. At least from the time of the Gemara, this person was kicked out for not having his head covered. Mm-hmm. Was it just the pious? So we want to be pious.
Is that only for married men?
That was at least the inference in the Gemara. It could be. It could be. So we can assume it's not in the Torah. So the question is, how far back does this custom go? It's definitely a custom. But how far back does it go? So if it's already considered a pious act 2,000 years ago, and it's basically almost, it's like a uniform. So you're in, you want to feel part of it, you want to be part of it. Once it's already in the Gemara and the Shulchan Aruch, it becomes a halacha. So it's not really open for discussion. It doesn't mean you can wear a baseball hat, you can wear any kind of hat, right? As long as your head's covered. The question you're asking, how far back does it go? So there are people who like to discuss these ideas. Would it really make a practical difference? No. But for the academic, analysis, it's quite enjoyable to try to figure out when and how did it develop. But practically, it makes no difference because we follow the Shulchan Aruch, and it's very important to cover our heads. In terms of women, that's from the Torah. That's for sure from the Torah. A married woman covers her hair, and we know that from Sota. There's a few other proofs, but we have, it's more than just a tradition of a development. It was already from forever. Okay? When I say forever, I mean time immemorial, from the time of the revelation. And many societies, it's not just Christian, in Africa, maybe in Asia, Christian Europe for sure. There are different women, different customs of women covering their hair, married women. And they got it from us, from the Bible. Okay, the next halacha is the last halacha for the evening, I think. Is it right? We got number 5. We didn't do 5. How come I don't have it here? No. I got it here in the Hebrew. I skipped something somehow. Okay, number 5. When you take off your shoes, you remove your left shoe first, and it's out of honor to the right. So I skipped that. So we went to 6, we did 6, and then towards the end of 6, it says, V'yivdok nikavav. This sounds very strange. You check your holes. It doesn't mean you check your holes. It means you need to check if you need to go to the bathroom. It's very important. We don't make blessings. We don't pray to Hashem until we have emptied ourselves from the refuse. Is that the word? The excrement that we're carrying around with us. I remember my Rosh Hashiva telling me, we're very different than the animals. The animals, they just go wherever, whenever they feel like it. A cat, she'll maybe dig a hole. A dog, who knows? But we have to go to a private place. We can't just go anywhere. So So he says, "V'yachase kol gufo v'lo yelech yachav ragla v'asmo lifnos boker ve'erev shu zrizus unekius." So what does he mean here? One should check to see if he needs to go to the bathroom. Usually, you know that you need to go. But if you don't need to go, sit down anyway. There's a Gemara that says each rabbi they went and checked themselves 24 times. Obviously, it's an exaggerated number, but there's a lesson behind it that they checked themselves so carefully to see if they had the feeling to go to the bathroom. Sometimes you don't feel it until you actually sit down.
What does it mean? Like before you go home or after you go home?
No, before you go to shul. Before you go, in the morning, men go to the minyan every morning, and before they leave the house, before they pray, they should check themselves.
This is always in China, the same tradition. Before we leave the home, we always check, do you want to go to the toilet? Do you want to go to the toilet? And then if you don't want to go to the toilet, okay, let's go. Always.
Can you guys hear the whole story here? Okay. So I'll tell you who's here. We have Zahava and Devorah.
Hello.
And Zahava's from China.
Yeah.
Where in China?
Beijing.
Beijing.
Yeah.
Okay. And Devorah, where are you from?
Sharon, Massachusetts.
Okay. There you go. And her hair is covered. Okay. There you go. Okay. So let's start with we'll start chapter 3 next week.